City of Forest Park Council Meeting Number 1467, the 20th of January, 2026. It is now 7 o'clock. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next on the agenda is roll call. Is there a motion to excuse First Vice Mayor Halt?
I'd like to make a motion to excuse First Vice. I'm sorry.
Adams,
Present.
Brown,
Here.
Clark. Here. Harrison.
Here.
Holt. Moore.
Here.
Sylvester.
Here.
I need a motion to excuse First Vice Mayor Halt.
I'd like to make a motion to excuse First Vice Mayor Holt from this evening's council meeting.
Second.
Okay, it has moved and seconded. Vice Mayor Halt is excused. Next on the agenda is the minutes. Is there a vote? Okay, we need a vote.
Adams,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark. Yes. Harrison.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Sylvester.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 6-0. Minutes. Council members, did everyone get an opportunity to review the minutes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are there any corrections? Hearing no corrections, the minutes stand as approved. Next on the agenda is presentation from our auditor, Hamilton County Auditor Jessica Miranda. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Moore. All right, let me make sure I don't mess up any of these cords here by touching them. All right. Is this on, Dawn, or do I need to do something? Okay. Thank you, Dana. Good evening, everyone.
evening.
Thank you so much for having me on your agenda tonight. I greatly appreciate the time you have granted to my presentation. I, of course, am honored and privileged to serve as your Hamilton County Auditor. My name is Jessica Miranda. And just a fun note, since I'm here in my city and I love to brag about and put on for my city as often as I can, this is the city I call home, the second largest city in Hamilton County, the city of Forest Park. So I'm very, very happy that my auditor has led me here tonight to be with you. And another side note, just so you all know why I didn't come up and hug all of you like I normally do, I just had an emergency gallbladder removal surgery, so I would have otherwise hugged all of you prestigious and honorable members on this dais, but I have to keep my distance while my incisions are healing. So, and nowhere else I'd rather be tonight than right here with you at your Forest Park City Council meeting. So with that, most of you already know who I am, but just a little bit more about me for the folks who may be watching at home or watch this presentation later here in the city of Forest Park. The purpose of this tour that we have branded as the Auditor is to go around to the over 40 political jurisdictions in our county. Hamilton County is the third largest county out of all 88 here in our great state, so we are a very large county. We have a lot of villages, a lot of cities, and a lot of townships that I need to visit, as well as community councils and other places that I have visited, to remind folks what the county executive does as the county auditor's office. A little bit about what we don't do as well, we'll talk about in this presentation, and just correcting the record, right? I love to educate the residents of our county and our shared constituencies as often as possible, because I believe that helps us as duly elected officials serve the people who we were elected to serve and know who to send folks to when they need certain things in our community. So you all know me here. I used to serve as your state representative for about 5.5 years in the State House, which translates to about 50 years in real human years. Luckily, I don't have too much gray hair, but I'm sure that's coming, and I welcome that. But I had a great time, passed a lot of bills, even in the super minority up in the State House, and did my best to represent the fine city of Forest Park, which I call home. Prior to that, I was serving on our Winton Woods School Board for about 5 years. And now I am very happy, honored, and privileged to serve you in this county-wide executive office as your Hamilton County Auditor. So a little bit about what the auditor does. Think of your county auditor as the CFO of the county, the Chief Financial Officer. We are in charge of paying all of the county's bills. That includes every department that is up underneath the Board of County Commissioners. And we are also the payroll agent for the county's almost 5,000 county employees. We also are the real property assessor in the county, which means we are in charge of appraising every single parcel in the county, which there's about 350,000 parcels in the county, personal properties, business properties, as well as industrial and agriculture properties. And we have a certain schedule to which we have to appraise those properties as set by state law. And we'll get into that in a further slide. We are also 1/3 of the county's Board of Revision. The Board of Revision process is a quasi-judicial process for which you can challenge the appraised value of your home should you wish to do so by filing a complaint. We are in the live time window to do so for Board of Revision complaints, and we're also in the live window for dog licensing, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But you'll soon come to find out real quickly here in this first slide that the auditor is tasked with a lot of responsibilities, and there are a lot of different responsibilities that touch a lot of different things in our lives. We're also 1/3 of the county's budget commission, so when you set your budget here in the city of Forest Park, it gets approved by us down in my office. The treasurer of Hamilton County, as well as the prosecutor of Hamilton County, also sits on that board with me. And we are the administration of 3 very, very important programs as prescribed by the state. The first one is the rental registration program. It is Ohio state law that if you are a landlord in the state of Ohio, you must file a rental registration form with your county auditor's office. It is free to file, but there is a penalty if you do not file. So I would encourage every landlord that is here in the city of Forest Park to make sure that you have that on file. There was a lot of issues going on in the fall of year before last where folks were getting fleeced of their hard-earned money. They were being approached by people saying they had homes for rent, collecting their down payment, their security deposit, and their first month's rent, and then they never heard from them again because those people did not, in fact, actually own that property, let alone they were not the landlord. So if you go on our website and you search any property in the county, you will clearly see whether or not we have on file that rental registration form and whether or not that property is actually a rental property so that we can protect our residents against that type of fraud and scam. We also administer 2 very important property tax relief programs by state law, one of which is the homestead exemption. We'll talk about that again in a later slide, and as well as the owner occupancy credit. The homestead exemption is very, very prescribed in particular. It's for folks who are 65 and older who make less than $41,000 a year. And then the owner occupancy credit is simply such that if you live and own your primary home, you get 2.5% right off the bat of a credit for your property tax bill. These are the only 2 property tax relief options that are out there actively right now helping residents with our ever-growing property tax problem as we find it here in the state. And we need our state lawmakers, of course, to move on something more fruitful that would help folks in the immediate term. And then, fun fact, we also do all of the dog licensing for the county. So if you have a canine friend, it is dog licensing season. Please make sure your dog is licensed. It's not only the law in Ohio, but is the best way for us to find their home if they do run away or get lost. And it's very important that we do so and that they don't end up in one of our shelters across the county, so we can make sure that your canine friend stays with your loving family. And then perhaps one of the most cherished parts of our department in county government is what's called the Weights and Measures Department. If you're ever out pumping gas in Hamilton County, you'll notice notice my name is on your gas pump. If you're ever out filling up your tires with air at that little air pump that's at the gas stations, my seal is also on that pump. Or if you're just right across the street at Kroger purchasing your weekly produce or deli meats and cheeses, you'll notice my name is on all of the weight systems inside all of our grocery stores. Why? Because my team is checking that that pound of turkey that you're purchasing is actually a pound of turkey and you're not getting taken advantage of. And likewise with the gas pump, we're making sure that not only is that actual gas you're pumping into your vehicle, but that you're getting the gallon of gas for the amount that you're paying for the gallon of gas. And so we consider the Weights and Measures Department very much so as our consumer protection arm of what we do in the county auditor's office. Okay, so a little bit, I've already talked about the fact that we are live in dog licensing season right now as we speak. Dog licensing season starts every year on December 1st, carries over into that following year, January 31st. So it is roughly a 2-month period, but just know that you can always license your dog at any point in the year or renew it at any point in the year. You just might see a penalty or a late fee on there. We are also in Auditor season. I don't know that we've counted exactly on our list what number of the stop this is, but it's over 20 municipalities and political jurisdictions that we've visited so far, and we look forward to finishing the Auditor up by the end of this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed, Willow, maybe even by the end of spring. And by the way, everyone, this is Willow Lopez in my office. This is our community engagement liaison. I want to say one thing about what Willow does, because not only did she create this presentation and all of the handouts that you have there in front of you and scheduled this very event, but she is amazing because her position is historic. Never in county history has the county auditor's office had a public affairs department. She is one of 2 in our proud new public affairs department, and it is for that reason we can get out into the community and do things like this that matter so much to our shared constituencies. And then, of course, the Board of Revision is live in that season as well. The Board of Revision consists of a 3-month season, so you can file your Board of Revision complaint anytime between January 1st and March 31st of every year. And then this piece here is just a reminder that the Hamilton County Treasurer, Jill Schiller, has pushed back the property tax due dates for this year. So the bills were mailed, first half bills were mailed on January 16th. They are not due until February 10th. So just so you know that, that way you can communicate that to the fine people of Forest Park. And also, just another shameless plug, you not only have this presentation in front of you tonight as we go through it, but you have the presentation printed out in front of you as well, so that you can feel free on your own as duly elected officials to share whatever information you would find worthy to the people of Forest Park. So, you have seen thus far that we do a lot for the community here in Hamilton County in the Auditor's Office, and we love and are honored to serve the community, but we certainly do not do it all. So we do not collect the property taxes. That's our fine Hamilton County Treasurer, Jill Schiller. We do not manage deeds. That's our wonderful Hamilton County Recorder, Scott Crawley. We don't provide surveys or maps. That is our county engineer, Mr. Beck. And we certainly do not make abatement or tax policy. That is all of you fine folks here elected to local government, combined with all of the folks that serve us up in our state government, or the Capitol, in our state lawmakers, state reps and state senators. And in the auditor's office, we work in values. We do not work in taxes. So when we have to go out into the community every 3 and 6 years, we are valuing properties based on national appraisal codes and guidelines, and to match with state codes. State law here in Ohio says that we must appraise all parcels at what's called FMV, or fair market value. So house appraisals, parcel appraisals in this county and every other county in the state are always going to reflect what's happening in the market. So right now, we still have what is considered a very, very good real estate market, all things considered. Homes, even here in Forest Park and in all pockets of our community in Hamilton County, are selling, and they're selling for very, very high prices. So those sale prices are going to be the biggest driver of what goes into the home values. So all of that to say that just because your property appraises or goes up or down in valuation by 5%, it does not necessarily mean your tax bill goes up or down 5%. It does not follow that. Your tax bill is a very, very complex formula that has lots of things that go into it, one of which is your property valuation, but there's also all of the levies that are in your local area, voted in by the people of your community, as well as various different types of state tax law and even sometimes local tax law. And that is illustrated the best way we know how to help educate the community in this slide here. We are providing you a 3-area comparison. We have pulled a parcel, and please know when I say parcel, that just means a property. So this is a residential property at the same value in all 3 of these different communities. So you'll notice that the parcel value is a little over $236,000. These are real properties, by the way. The property that is valued at a little over $236,000 in the city of Cincinnati, their property tax liability is a little over $5,000 per year. Same valued type of property in Green Township, their property tax liability is a little over $4,000 per year. And last but not least, city of Sharonville, again, same type of property, same value. Their tax bill is only a little over $3,000 per year. So you can see that property tax bills vary even if the value of the house is the same, and it very dependent upon which part or which nook and cranny you live in across Hamilton County. And then we provided this slide here for you just so everyone can be on the same page of when we are out doing our reappraisal processes. Again, these are prescribed by the state. Every 3 years, we are doing what's called the triennial update. This year in 2026, that's the one we're working on now. The triennial update is more like a desktop review based on recent sales in any given area of the county. So again, it's going to follow what's happening in the real estate market very heavily. And then we do our mass appraisal every 6 years. And not sure if you saw the press release that came out from Governor DeWine's office last week or the week before, I think. I don't know, I've been in the hospital for a few days, so last week. But we would have normally been doing our next mass reappraisal in 2029, but he has pushed back Hamilton counties to 2030. So our next mass reappraisal here in Hamilton County will be in the year 2030. And then also keep in mind, we are annually looking at the values of parcels across the county, and that's heavily driven by permits that are pulled in every different community. So just a shout out to folks that are listening or may look at this presentation later. It is important whenever you're doing work on your home that you are pulling the proper permits, and I know you appreciate that here in the city. We appreciate that in the county because once you file your permit here, it then comes to us in the county, and then our appraisers do what we need to do to make sure that your value of your property follows the work that is being done on your property. And believe it or not, we get calls all of the time. The Super Bowl's coming up, so I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. We will get a lot of calls from folks, and they'll say, hey, I was over at my neighbor's house for the Super Bowl party, and wouldn't you know, they got 2 extra bathrooms in the basement, and it doesn't reflect that on your website. And so we'll have to contact said neighbor and say, hey, did you pull a permit for this? And sometimes they'll say no, and then we'll have to fix that as it's reported to us. So just know that that happens a lot. We get calls like that all of the time. So if you're going to have a Super Bowl party, make sure you pulled the right permits to do the work on your house that you have done. And then moving into all of the wonderful new things that we have done on our website. If you have been on our website recently, hopefully you've noticed the change. We had a longtime auditor here in our county, the wonderful Dusty Rhodes. He was our auditor for 32 years. And Dusty was very, very innovative for his time. He really took the lead across all 88 county auditors in this state in creating what our website is today. And I really, truly consider our website the gold standard across all county auditors in the state because they contact us all of the time to ask us how they can make their website more like ours. So our website is built on 2 principles, transparency and accountability, and of course innovation. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention innovation, but it has been the same for about 34 years. So we have decided not only to comply with a 2026 federal law that just went into effect to make it accessible. So our website is now fully accessible and it is updated. But what we have done is very, very intentional. We've kept buttons like the property search button in the relative same place as it was on the old website, as to not give everyone too much of a change all at once. But you will notice we now have an accessibility plugin on our website. You can change our website into multiple different types of dyslexia font, multiple different types of color blindness. Every accessibility need that someone would have, it is reflected on our website now. It also can translate into over 100 different languages. This is important not just because of a federal law, but because we have about hundreds of thousands of visitors to our website every month, and they come from a little over 100 different countries. So the ability to have that on our website has been a game changer. And then I know it's not the sexiest thing in the world for government to talk about, but we now have a search bar on our homepage. Believe it or not, that is so helpful, right? Because you can type in what you are looking for, and it will bring it up every single place that whatever you might be looking for is located on our website. So we're very, very proud. We started with the home page and the Board of Revision page. I'm now proud to say that every single page is updated and ready to go on the Hamilton County Auditor's website. Okay, and again, the Board of Revision page has been updated, and we've already spoken about this, so I won't read this to you and say this to you ad nauseum, but we are in Board of Revision season. Complaints can be filed as of now and until March 31st. We have released not only a video series that is now located on our Board of Revision page, we have also a complete Q&A if you scroll down that entire page to help folks understand what the Board of Revision is, what you are contesting in terms of the value of your home, not your property tax bill, right? That's something a lot of folks get confused. The Board of Revision is not a place to contest your property tax bill. It's a place to contest the value of your home. All right. And then again, hopefully all of you have seen this page. If you search any parcel in the county, you will find what is called our property tax summary or property summary page. This brings up every single property in the county, tells you who the owner is, has all kinds of useful information as to when that property was built, photos of that property going back to the date that it was built, even sketch images in some cases, especially on some historical buildings that we have in our county, tells you who has been the owner of that particular parcel from, you know, the beginning of when that property was built, and so much good information on here. And then of course my favorite piece of the property summary page is if you click on tax distribution, you will find this beautiful pie chart or pie graph. This is my favorite part of the website because this breaks down for you and every single resident or business owner in the county to the penny where your property tax dollars are going. You will notice the majority of properties have the same largest piece of the pie, right? The largest piece of the pie is what? Schools, school taxes, that's right. And why is that? Because school funding is still unconstitutional in the great state of Ohio. So you will always notice that the majority of parcels across the state and across our great county, the majority of what we are paying in our property tax bill is to our local public schools. And that is because the state lawmakers and the state assembly is not putting in their fair share of that bill. And until that changes, that is always going to be the largest piece of our tax liability pie. But again, transparency is key for us in the auditor's office, and we love to provide that information to everyone who wants to look at that. Okay, this slide is a little bit more about the rental registration that we talked about, but I've already covered this mostly. Again, it is the law in the state of Ohio. If you are a landlord, you must file a rental registration form with your county auditor. We understand that some municipalities are starting their own rental registration program, and we welcome that. We would just ask that you work hand in hand with us and make sure you're sharing your list with us so that we can make sure that everyone is accurately recorded and that we can contact landlords in the case of scams or fraud, but also for just safety purposes, like for what you need folks' contact information for here at the city. Help us help you. We would greatly appreciate it. Okay, now the last thing I want to talk to you about, and then I promise I will get out of your hair and let you get on with your regular meeting this evening, is the homestead exemption. The homestead exemption at inception was built to be the most innovative or the most helpful, if you will, property tax relief program here in the state of Ohio. What has happened since the homestead exemption was created, it has not only not been indexed for inflation properly, but it has been given more parameters, right? There was a time in this state that everyone 65 years and older automatically got the homestead exemption. Now it has an income qualification on it, so you must make $41,000 or less to qualify and therefore receive the homestead exemption. We know that the folks harmed the most in our communities by the property tax problem here in this state is our senior citizens or our elderly Ohioans. And I don't need to sit here and tell you all how important our elderly folks are to our communities and how if they wish to stay in their home, they should be able to stay in their home and afford to do so on their fixed income. But unfortunately here in Ohio, we've gotten too far away from what the inception of this was supposed to be, and it has lost all of its bang for its buck. It's lost all of the luster of what this program once was, and seniors are hurting, and they're hurting all across our state, not just here in Hamilton County. So this is my ask of you this evening, is to help me and help my association, the County Auditors Association of Ohio, properly advocate to our state lawmakers to tell them that this is the one true largest thing that could put money back into the pockets of our elderly Ohioans and help them out of the binds that they are in with their property tax bills. If they would only fix this program, we could do a lot of good with a lot of Ohioans that wish to stay here and stay in their homes. This graph is a beautiful representation of what this program once was a decade ago and what it now is. You'll notice there's not much change to the amount of the rebate or exemption given to homeowners, whereas there has been an astronomical change in the home values. So back in 2014, the average home value was about $155,000. That translates to about a $565 credit on average that folks who qualified for the homestead exemption at that time, all folks 65 and older, were receiving on their property tax liability. Cut to 2024, we've seen about a 70% increase in property valuations and only a 7% increase in the homestead exemption, or that credit that our seniors are receiving for homestead. Only $607. So we must look at these numbers and this data, and we must ask ourselves, why are we not doing enough? Why are we not doing what we should be doing to fix and update this homestead exemption? So when you see my association advocating in the hallways of the State House, which we have done, hours and hours upon testimony to various different committees, we've even had members serve on Governor DeWine's property tax work group, the most recent property tax group that he put together to work on this. The homestead exemption is the #1 thing we are advocating for. It is the first of our 4 pillars, and you can find all 4 of our pillars on my social media as well as on our website for the County Auditors Association of Ohio. But again, the homestead exemption would be the thing that has the most impact to the people that need it the most during our property tax crisis here in Ohio. And unfortunately, there are several bills already introduced aimed at fixing one piece or the other of the homestead exemption, and they're not getting the right legislative process that they deserve. So if you could help me by contacting your state representative and your state senator, heck, even the governor, if you have the time, send him an email. I would greatly appreciate it. These are all of the reasons why we know our senior citizens are very, very important to our communities and to our state. And again, should they wish to stay in their home, they should be able to do so. And we could really, truly fix this if our state lawmakers would just listen to the auditors and the county commissioners and the treasurers. And I think there's one other association that joined onto our our pillar that I can't think of at the time, but all county-wide executives all across the state have signed on to the auditor's four-pillared approach to fixing the property tax crisis here in Ohio. We just need the laws to follow. So, again, help me help you, and therefore our shared constituencies, to what we know they need the most to be able to survive during this crisis. And then the second of the two property tax relief programs that we administer in the county auditor's office is the owner occupancy credit. Most of the time, when folks' closing processes are done, when they purchase their homes, the owner occupancy credit is automatically applied. But again, to everyone who is watching this presentation now or in the future, and to all of you and your networks, I would encourage you to tell folks to log on to my website, the county auditor's website, hamiltoncountyauditor.org, pull up their own property and make sure that they are getting the owner occupancy credit and the homestead exemption. It will tell you right there on that front page of the property summary. It'll just say a simple yes or no to whether or not they're getting either or of these property tax relief programs. And if they're not getting one of the ones that they think they should get, or either or, and they think they qualify for them, please have them reach out to my office immediately. We have a team of about 88 civil servants in the auditor's office who stand at the ready to help every resident of Hamilton County with whatever you may need. And of course, the most important thing during this time, here in 2026, to help folks with both of these property tax relief programs. Okay, so we're at the end. This may look like every other closing slide that you've seen on a PowerPoint presentation, but again, I'd like to point out the historicness of this slide if I can. You'll notice that we are on 4 different social media platforms. That is the first time in history that your Hamilton County Auditor's Office is on social media. We know that folks are accessing information in many different ways here in 2026, and we want to make sure that we're getting information to the people in all of those ways. So we are on Facebook, we are on Instagram, we're also on LinkedIn, and then we do have a YouTube page as well. So for that video series I mentioned, that's on the Board of Revision page of my website, all of those videos are also on our YouTube and easily shareable from that platform as well. And then, of course, our email, phone number, website. You all know where I live. I live here in the great city of Forest Park, so if you ever need anything, you know how to access me. It's very, very important to me, and always has been as a public servant, to be accessible to the community. But further than that, my staff believes in that too. And so we stand at the ready with an open door policy to help any of you and any resident of the great city of Forest Park with anything you may need under our executive umbrella of what we do for county government. So again, I thank you for giving me time on your agenda. I'm certainly willing and able to answer questions if any of you have any for me tonight. But other than that, I will get out of your hair and let you continue on with your meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So next on the agenda, I will need a motion to amend the agenda for item C. Is there a motion?
Motion to amend the agenda and add item C under new business. Resolution number 02-2026.
Thank you. Is
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there a roll vote?
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
The motion passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is communication from the public. This is a time for citizens to comment on matters before council or to ask questions of concerns to them. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and then state your comments or questions. Council meetings are taped and recorded for ease of transcription, and comments are limited to 5 minutes. Seeing none, and so we will move on to our agenda. Next on the agenda is reports and standing committees. Councilmember Adams.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to, if you all would just appease me with just 30 seconds of silence. We lost a life on January the 2nd here in Forest Park. Miss Katie Lorenzo, her family and herself are Forest Park residents. And so they laid her to rest on this past Saturday on the 17th. And as a united council, I just ask for 30 seconds of silence, if we will, in honor of her life. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Council. I would like to say that the Beautification Committee will be meeting tomorrow for our first meeting of the year. And we are really, really excited about what this year is going to bring. And again, we ask that you get with our human resources and please become a member of the Beautification Committee. We would love to have you. And if you're not sure, just come to a meeting and hang out, just kind of see how we operate. And so tomorrow is our first meeting. It will be here in our city building, and the time for that will be at 6 p.m. Also, we'll be having our Tree City Awards this year. Please forgive me. Our Tree City Awards will be this year. We're very excited about that because Forest Park will be hosting. Outside of that, Madam Chair, I don't have any other reports to give, but I would like to add something to the work session. Since I've been on council, this is my, I'm sorry, this is my second term. I'm going into my 5th year. I know of 2 accidents that we've had at that corner, and I'm absolutely certain that our police department, et cetera, is doing everything that they can to ensure that our residents are safe. However, I would like to ask, possibly with our city manager, if it's anything that we can do, maybe some form of a study to consider, maybe if the traffic lights aren't long enough or whatever the case may be, if there's anything additional we can do to ensure the safety of our citizens, our residents, our visitors, and those who are just passing by. Thank you.
Councilmember Moore, Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Moore. Excuse me, Dr. Madam Mayor Moore. We'll have to work on that.
Figure that out.
Absolutely.
Just to bring this to council's attention, the Planning Commission met last Tuesday at 7 p.m. There are 2 ordinances that are going to come before council for consideration. Both of which are actually prohibiting certain institutions and businesses. So we've had conversations around vape shops. So that'll be reclassified in our zoning code. But then also we've had a number of applications for places of worship, specifically in our business districts and our business areas, just so residents don't get confused. Even though we're submitting this recommendation from the Planning Commission to council to prohibit both of these uses, especially for vape shops, for the places of worship in particular, they're already always permitted in our zoning code for residential areas, as long as it's a large tract of land that has 2 acres of land. But in our office zones, they were a permitted use that have to be reviewed by the Planning Commission, but we're switching that to prohibited use because of the increase in the applications we've got. So I just want people to be aware of that when it comes in about a week or so. That concludes my report, and I do not have anything to add to the work session.
Councilmember Clark.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't have any report to give, and I don't have anything for the work session.
Councilmember Clark. Councilmember Harrison.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd just like to encourage all the citizens, if you're looking to serve on a board or commission, please talk to our clerk of council, send us an application so we can get you on these boards and commissions. I know We're falling short. We've had people leave and whatnot. So if you really want to serve this community, we'd love to have you. For the work session, I do want to bring up on just John Charles Lane, there was a barrier set up to keep cars from going in the back, and I noticed the barrier is gone. So I don't know if the developer moved them or whatnot. They did move them. Okay. 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 So yeah, that's all I have. Thank you.
Next on the agenda is the mayor's report. Happy New Year, everyone, and welcome back, council. We've been on.
Forgot Reggie.
Reggie? I'm sorry, Mr. Councilmember Sylvester. First, our second
was-
vice mayor.
Hey, I was just going to sit quiet. It's,
Oh,
it's all right. It's all right,
Okay.
Madam Mayor. Yeah, well, all right. Well, thank you, and good evening to residents of Forest Park. Just want to update council. I know I spoke on with the Park and Rec Commission that Billy Rice was moving on, and the commission met last week. We normally schedule first week of the month, but had some members that were dealing with some sickness, and so we met last week. There was an appointment made for the chair and vice chair as the charter require, and details of that information will be coming forward to council of those appointments of Yvonne Starkey-Posey for chair and vice chair, Clarice Wilson. So, and also the Park and Rec Commission has the calendar for the events for the city of Forest Park coming up. So maybe at some point, Takia may be able to get that from Jay and or
Todd is gonna be presenting,
okay.
he's gonna be presenting everything to
Okay,
council
all
in
right,
the next few
so,
weeks.
all right. But that information is in this stage of being available. So, and I know we're in the start of the year. We got registrations coming up for our sports programs. So that's available and up and through the month of February, mid-February 15th. So just want to comment to our residents to get our soccer and t-ball and baseball and participants registered so they can be at a point of being identified to be active for the programs. And with that, the only thing I'd like to add to the agenda is to, I went to a service a couple of weekends ago over Harley Jordan, and that the road that goes back to the facility, does the city have any impact with that road being maintenance or managed?
We were just discussing that. We believe that is, there's, the owners of the adjacent property are of the adjacent properties are responsible for maintenance of that road. And then the entity that is the largest square footage, which is the old Aldi's building, is responsible for coordinating that. So they're responsible for coordinating the repairs, and then the people who are on that road are responsible for paying for them, pro rata based on the size of their facilities. So we'll be having that discussion with those folks here really soon.
Okay.
Because we agree.
Yeah,
There's some issues with that
yeah,
road.
it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
That's a private drive.
okay, all right. Thank you. Thank you, Don.
Mhm.
And thank you, Mayor.
you have any agenda items for the work session?
No, that was just a question I wanted to bring up, but not answered to the point that way we don't need to add it to the agenda.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the mayor's report. Again, Happy New Year and welcome back to our council from our winter recess. It is my honor to serve as the mayor of the city of Forest Park, Ohio. We are the second largest city in Hamilton County, and we are excited for our upcoming projects, our community initiatives and activities, and also quality of life is our priority. Also, we want to thank our staff and our city manager for our beautiful sign outside. So the residents are very happy. Did everyone get a chance to see the sign outside?
Beautiful.
Worth the wait.
And also, demolition is underway for the Cincinnati Mills former Forest Fair Mall. Are they about, what, 80%, 90%?
Yeah, they're about 80%.
Okay.
There'll be, the plan is to have footings coming in late February, early first part of March. They'll begin construction on the new facility, so they're really moving forward. We'll start the footings and the soil compactions, things like that, right now.
And also, there is a meet and greet for city officials and council members on January the 22nd from 4:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at HQ, and that's located at 1255 Kemper Meadow. So we encourage businesses to go to the Forest Park Chamber of Commerce website and register. And that completes my report. For the agenda items for the next work session, we would like to look at, I would like to look at a Forest Park Cultural Initiative regarding the arts, and just having a conversation about how to bring the arts to our community. And that completes my report. Next on the agenda is our city manager, Mr. Don Jones.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening. I want to start out with a quick reminder to the citizens. We are looking at maybe some bad snow weather later this week. And depending on who you listen to, it can be anywhere from a dusting to 12 inches. So I want to remind everyone the best thing that they can do to help us get the streets cleared is to park their cars in their driveways. Get them off of there, pack them in there, get them off the streets so we can get down the streets and get those get our snow plows down there without having to move in and out of cars. So talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, and see if you guys can make sure that you get your cars off the streets if we do have a lot of snow or any snow that looks like it needs to be plowed. Also coming up, it is tax season. I want to remind everyone that the city of Forest Park does have a municipal income tax, and all residents are required to file. So make sure you get that done. And if you need any help, I just want to let everyone know that our tax office is open, and it's getting busy. And everyone's welcome to come. If you need help, come on down, show up. Our tax folks will help you out with your filings and make sure that you're compliant. If you need help paying, we can take care of that, extensions, things like that. So best thing to do is come out, just get compliant, and file those taxes in a timely manner to avoid any penalties and interest. Our new sign is working, and I think it looks very nice. And we've got a lot of good comments from a lot of folks, so we look forward to adding new things to it. Right now, we're just kind of making sure that it's rolling through all the good information out there about our city. But we'll have a lot of events coming up, and we'll be using that as a really good way to communicate to the public. So keep an eye on that. If you're wondering what's going on for events this summer or things that are upcoming, they'll all be on that sign. So we hope everyone takes advantage of that, and we hope it's a good resource for our community to communicate to everyone who drives through this corridor. There's a lot of cars coming through here, and we hope that it'll be a good communication tool. Finally, our spring sports, as Councilmember Sylvester mentioned earlier, is signups are ongoing for soccer, softball, baseball, t-ball. It's going through February 15th, so go online, sign up for these sports. Get out there early. We still need coaches as well, so if you want to be a coach, come on out, give us a call. We'll try and get you involved with all of our sports, whether it's a spring sports or basketball or fall or winter. We always need coaches, so if you want to be involved, give us a call, and we'll try and get you involved with the citizens or the youth of our community. And finally, we did send out getting back to the tax office, we did send out a letter, or it's coming out. Keep an eye out for it. We send this out every year. It's got tax information on it, but also has a handout in there that's helpful reminders of city services and regulations. It's in that packet as well. Not only the tax forms are there, but this is in there as well. It talks about resident responsibilities with regards to property maintenance, different city services that we have and how to take advantage of those, and a little information about inspections and what is required, what isn't required, and phone numbers for everybody that you might need to get in touch with. So keep an eye out for that. Grab it and stick it on your refrigerator in case you need it, and just don't look through those tax forms, because there is more information than just the tax form. So if you have any more questions, I'd be glad to answer them, and there'll be some things that we'll add to the agenda at the next meeting for, as again, we talked about, Scott's going to do a presentation about the upcoming events, and we'll have some discussion about our strategic plan as well. We'll be rolling that out and showing council that and starting the council portion of that. So any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
John, I have a question.
Sure.
Madam Chair, can I ask him a question?
Yes.
It's pertaining to legislation that we will vote on tonight. I know the auction opened up today
Yes.
for potential real estate. Do you feel that the legislation tonight is adequate for you to make, to go in with the negotiating power to potentially acquire this property?
Well, I'd love to have the ability to spend more if need be, whether it's, even just a little bit more. Obviously, we know what we want to spend, but it would be good if we had, a little bit more. But the legislation is here. If we wanted to amend it, that's okay. I would just hate to lose the building over, $5,000 or $10,000
Right.
of, where we would be with that, just in case, because I think we're pretty close to what the numbers should be. We did tour the property last week.
Okay.
And so we are interested. We are going to try it and pick it up at a reasonable rate. Obviously, if there's someone that wants to, pay a significant amount of money for it and develop it, then that's great. That's a benefit to the city, but it's good to control the property. That would make us responsible for that driveway if we did get it. So yes, if city council would consider just, maybe bumping that up a bit, that would help us.
What would be a decent range?
Maybe $50,000 more.
Okay.
Because I think if much more than that, I think we probably wouldn't be buying it.
Absolutely.
And I would just hate to be really that close and not be able to commit. I know we talked about this at executive session last week, but I think after looking at the building and talking to the real estate agent, I think I want to make sure that we're pretty. I think we're really close on the number, and I'd hate to lose it over like $5,000-$10,000, because it is going to be an auction. So there'll be public bids going on as we go. So obviously we'll keep it as low as we can, and we won't go any. We're pretty close. Again, we discussed this last week, but I think that number's pretty close to what it should be.
Right.
But it may be just a little bit. As somebody might come in and say, "Here's $1 more,"
Yeah.
or $5,000 more.
Yeah, and that's actually what I was thinking, because this, as I was thinking about it, it reminded me of the situation with other real estate, across the street, actually, where you could only go up to a certain point, and then time is of the essence with auctions. So once you realize you couldn't exceed that, you have to come back to council, it has to be reposted, and we lose a lot of time, and then we lose out on opportunity. So I just was asking, but yeah, thank you
We
for that,
lost
Don.
that over basically $200,000.
Right.
Which we would have paid. We didn't have the opportunity to pay it.
Right.
John, how would we handle that? To
Need a
increase?
motion to amend that figure of 600,000,
Okay.
whatever amount council would choose,
When the item comes up?
when it comes up.
Okay.
I believe that if council wants to, again, I think 650 would be a good number. If we're above that, then, I think we're getting into something, it's going to be around there, I think, would be the maximum amount we would want to go. That should put us in, knowing the concerns that we talked about last week, and not overpaying and but acquiring it and being able to use it strategically to develop that area of there would be very, I think, in the best interest of the city.
Next, other reports, the Law Director, Mr. John Wyckoff.
Thank you, Mayor. Since I last showed my face around here, there's been a lot of work, mostly on records request. For Ms. Bailey, I provided some resources regarding retention of documents for the police department, the handling of expungements, whether they're public records or not. Of course, the expungement completely eliminates records, so we don't have records that would relate to any expungements. An issue regarding the use of body cams and the exemption for the interior of a person's house where an altercation occurs. Also reviewed some agreements for the police department, a vendor's contract for their records reporting system, and also a contract for the finance department, again, regarding a vendor who provides services to that department. And then also the ordinance that we have, 01/2026, I provided some information regarding the wording in that ordinance. One thing you might want to consider, or may not, for a work session item, the State of Ohio legislative body, just within a month or two, passed what is referred to as Avery's Law. Avery is a young child who was attacked by a dog. And so they strengthened the Ohio Revised Code. We have our own code sections, and cities are looking at, well, gee, should we adopt the state or not? We don't have a problem in Mayor's Court with our current ordinances. They are effective. If there's a dangerous dog situation, the magistrate's duty is to have a hearing to determine if the dog is vicious or dangerous, and then if so, she has the power to not only have the dog perhaps retrained, but also to humanely euthanize the dog. So our current ordinances cover everything from a loose dog, which is our biggest, most frequent offense is loose dogs around. We cover everything from that to what do we do with vicious dogs. The problem with Avery's Law is it relies on departments we don't have. We don't have an animal control officer. And then we would need people who follow up on whether animals are tagged, whether animals are properly insured, and we don't have the personnel for that at this time. So you may want to consider if we want to change, but as I said, we don't have a lot of dog cases in Mayor's Court anyway, and what we do have seems to comply or fall within our ordinances. If something of significance would occur, of course, our police officers would always have the right to cite under Ohio Revised Code. As an example, it was a first-degree misdemeanor and it was a serious injury, they could always cite and take them downtown. And we do that for a number of offenses in Forest Park, such as OVIs. They all go downtown. So, but I wanted to raise that issue because I know there's a lot of talk amongst the Mayor's Court clerks and different jurisdictions about how do we handle, what do we do with Avery's Law. So, right. Other than that, that would be the end of my report, unless you have any questions.
Questions from council? Thank you, Mr. Wyckoff. The next on the other reports is Clerk of Council, Ms. Bailey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to report that resolution number 1-2026 was posted as required, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Bailey. Next on the agenda is unfinished business and general orders. We don't have anything on the agenda for unfinished business. We will move to new business. Item A, ordinance number 01-2026. Ms. Bailey?
I have to read this in full.
Okay.
Okay. Ordinance,
Is there any motion to be
Yeah,
made?
I was going to ask for a point of order. Do you want me to make the motion to amend the ordinance? Or do you want me to make a motion to amend the agenda and then amend the ordinance?
We would want a motion to amend the ordinance.
Yes.
And then Bailey can read the ordinance.
Yeah, because it's still in the same order, so no, okay. All right, Madam Chair.
Is there a motion to amend the agenda, ordinance number 01-2026?
Yes, Madam Chair. I motion to amend ordinance number 01-2026, changing the price not to exceed from 600,000 to 650,000.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there a vote?
Clark? Yes. Harrison?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Lester?
Yes.
Adams?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Councilmember Brown, would you, Mrs. Bailey, would you like to read the ordinance in full?
Ordinance number 1-2026, an ordinance authorizing the city manager to execute all documents necessary for the purchase of commercial real estate located within the boundaries of Forest Park, Ohio, comprised of approximately 3.18 acres at a price not to exceed $650,000 and declaring an emergency. Whereas the city has recognized the necessity to purchase the real estate, whereas the purchase of said real estate is consistent with the goals of the city's redevelopment program, whereas the purchase of said real estate is necessary for the public safety, health, and welfare of the city of Forest Park, and whereas since time is of the essence regarding the purchase real estate and to actually purchase said real estate, this ordinance is declared an emergency pursuant to Forest Park Code of Ordinances, Section 13.96. Now therefore be it ordained by the Council of the City of Forest Park, Ohio, Section 1, that the city manager or his appointee is hereby authorized to execute all contracts and perform all acts necessary for the purchase of real estate and to perform all acts as the official representative of the City of Forest Park with respect to all contractual contingencies and for the actual closing and conclusion of purchase, including but not exclusively the filing of all appropriate legal documentation with the appropriate county authorities for the transfer of said property. Section 2, that the Director of Finance and any person with authority at the time to exercise the functions of that office is hereby authorized to pay all expenditures necessary and customary and/or required by the purchase contract to complete the acquisition and purchase of the property. Section 3, this ordinance is deemed an emergency for the reason that this ordinance is required to be immediately effective in order to enable the city fully execute and close the sale on the property within the time frame required by the purchase contract. Therefore, this ordinance shall be in full force and effect immediately upon passage.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Councilmember Brown, is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move to adopt ordinance number 01-2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there a discussion?
No further discussion.
Thank you. May we have the vote?
Moore,
Yes.
Lester,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark. Yes. Harrison.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Next on the agenda, is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules requiring the reading in full and read for the first time by title only resolution number 01-2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there a discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair. This resolution was posted 6 days prior to the meeting.
Can we get a vote to suspend the rules?
Sylvester,
Yes.
Adams,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes. Motion passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is resolution number 01-2026.
Resolution number 1-2026. A resolution requesting the Hamilton County Auditor place special assessments against various properties for costs and penalties related to grass cutting and property maintenance.
Thank you. Is there a motion, Councilmember Adams?
Yes, ma'am. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution, thank you, number 01-2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there a discussion?
Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair. This resolution authorizes the Hamilton County Auditor to levy a special assessment against properties where the city has cut the grass because the owner or person in charge has been unable or unwilling to do so. This special assessment will recover the actual cost to the city as well as a penalty charge and become part of the tax bill.
Thank you, Councilmember Adams. Is there a vote?
Adams,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Next on the agenda is resolution number 02-2026.
Resolution number 2-2026. Delegating authority to make declarations of official intent and allocations with respect to reimbursements of temporary advances during fiscal year 2026 made for capital improvements and acquisitions for municipal purposes to be made from subsequent borrowings. Whereas Treasury Regulation, Section 1.150-2, the reimbursement regulation issued pursuant to Section 150 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended, the code prescribes certain requirements by which proceeds of tax-exempt bonds, notes, certificates, or other obligations included in the meaning of bonds under Section 150 of the code, obligations used to reimburse advances made for capital expenditures and hereinafter defined paid before the issuance of such obligations may be deemed spent for purposes of Section 103 and 141 to 150 of the code, and therefore not further subject to any other requirements or restrictions under those sections of the code. And whereas such reimbursement regulations requires that an issuer, as hereinafter defined, make a declaration of official intent, as hereinafter defined, to reimburse any capital expenditure paid prior to the issuance of the obligations intended to fund such capital expenditure, and require that such declaration of official intent be made no later than 60 days prior after payment of the capital expenditure, and further require that any reimbursement allocation as herein defined of the proceeds of such obligations to reimburse such capital expenditures occur no later than 18 months after the latter of the date the capital expenditure was paid or the date the property acquired with capital expenditure was placed in service, except that any such reimbursement allocation must be made no later than 3 years after such capital expenditure was paid. And whereas the reimbursement regulations provide that an issuer may delegate the authority for making such declarations of official intent and allocations to one or more individuals, and whereas this council wishes to ensure compliance with the reimbursement regulations, and whereas this council intends to construct and or acquire capital improvements and or assets, including real property in the city for municipal purposes, the city intends that the construction and acquisition costs will be paid from the proceeds of municipal securities issued by the city for the project. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Forest Park. Section 1, Declaration of Official Intent. A, the city declares that it reasonably expects that the capital expenditures described in Section B, which were paid no earlier than 60 days prior to the date hereof, or which will be paid prior to the issuance of any obligations intended to fund such capital expenditures, will be reimbursed with the proceeds of obligations representing the borrowing by the city or other governmental issuer in the maximum principal amount for such reimbursements of $5 million. And B, the capital expenditures made in fiscal year 2026 to be reimbursed are to be used for the acquisition of real property in the city and related costs, including property to be used for economic development or governmental purposes. Section 2, reasonable expectation. The city does not expect any other funds, including the money advanced to make the capital expenditure, that are to be reimbursed, to be reserved, allocated on a long-term basis, or otherwise set aside by the city or any other entity with respect to the capital expenditures for purposes described in Section 2B. Section 3, open meeting. It is found and determined that all formal actions of this council concerning and relating to the adoption of this, should say resolution. Okay. The adoption of this resolution were adopted in an open meeting of this council, and that all deliberations of this council and any of its committees that resulted in such formal action were in meetings open to the public in compliance with the law.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. That was,
Yeah.
okay.
If we're at discussion, I'll just give you a few, little bit of what this really is. Thank you, Takia, for that nice reading. She just read the tax code, basically. The City of Forest Park, and we do this annually, and so it's a good time to do it because we're considering some capital expenditures here shortly. But basically, the city can go and spend its own money. Now, normally on capital assets, those are things that have useful lives of, either, whether it's depending on what it is, it could be a fire truck, it could be something else, but in this case, real property, a piece of property, a building, things like that have a long useful life. And so when the city purchases or builds those things, roads and roads as well, we normally would go and issue bonds or notes to pay for those over the life of the asset. That basically spreads the cost of that expenditure of that asset over the life of that asset. So one budget year doesn't take a hit. If you spend $5 million for a building, that should be spread out over multiple budget years. And to do that, we do that through the issuance of notes or bonds. But we don't know what those amounts are going to be yet. So we would normally purchase the asset, use our existing funds to purchase or build that asset, and then once we know the final cost, we can go out and reimburse ourselves what we spent on it. And then so basically we would pay for it up front, go build it, go purchase it, and then once that transaction is complete, go and get a long-term note on it or a long-term bond on it and stretch out the payments, or whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years even. But in order to do that, you have to pass this intent. So the official intent is that we have an intent to reimburse ourselves sometime in this process with bond money or note money. In order to do that, we have to tell it up front that we intend to do that. And you have to do it within 2 months of actually purchasing or acquiring the property or building the asset. So this complies with that so that our bonds or our notes can be tax exempt and continue to be able to be offered at the lowest possible interest rate. So that's what this does. And it covers us for the year, and if we need more than 5, we'll come back, depending on, we haven't needed it yet, but if we did, we would come back and ask for more authority if we had to, but right now we don't.
All right, is there a motion? Second, Vice Mayor Sylvester.
Yes, I move to adopt resolution number 02-2026.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there a discussion?
I don't know if it should be, but we're gonna we'll do a final.
I mean, I read it in full, you don't.
Read it in full. Don gave us a lowdown on it. I think the residents got it.
Thank you.
And I'm sure they'll let us know if they didn't.
They didn't. Is there a
Thank
vo-
you.
Is there a vote, Ms. Bailey?
Brown,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Harrison.
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Sylvester,
Yes.
Adams.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes 6-0. So now we move into a adjournment. Is there any other business to come before the body? Is there any other business come before the body? Hearing none, I move to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.